On this episode of the podcast, I have with me Udhay Durai. He is Executive Director of the Data Platform and Engineering at Evolus. We're going to be talking about his transition from being a consultant to actually taking ownership and being an executive in a role in data platform and engineering. We'll talk to him about some of the skills he developed, some of the skills he had to pick up as he shifted to the enterprise, and how being a consultant actually is pretty good training for working for a company. So, Udhay, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely. Before we start, what does the company do actually?
Evolus is in performance beauty. We are in the aesthetics market.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of data in there and a lot of things that we could talk about. And in this episode, we'll be talking about, shifting from a consultant to a leadership role within data. I guess, not everyone goes down the consulting path. Some people do, some people don't. I do think there is certain skills that you can pick up as a consultant that do come in handy. And maybe we can start off by talking about that. And actually, being a consultant, going from project to project, tell us a little bit about having to execute and deliver within those the consulting parameters.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm basically an engineer. I'm coming from an engineering background. So every problem, whether it's a small or big, doesn't matter. Every problem is definitely solvable. We can deliver value out of it by solving the problem. So in consulting, especially in a data platform and analytical engagements, success in the consulting lens, success is really measured how quickly we can understand the business context, and then how quickly you can triage problem, identify blockers, and deliver something tangible early. That was really, really important. Let it be a proof of concept, let it be a production issue, or even a quick win dashboard. It can be anything. That's where we wanted to focus and get more out of it. So with that mindset and with my engineering background, it was great to deliver to the customers with the speed, since we have the stakeholder empathy to deliver a high impact problem, solving real complex solutions into a nimble automation, or it can be anything. So that's where I feel that we have a tight window to perform, to deliver, and the pivoting and understanding the business context and delivering quickly was very, very important.
Absolutely. And I guess, if not everyone, has the opportunity to have to deliver in that type of environment. I guess if you were to kind of talk about some of the pressures that are different, right? Versus if you're working for a company delivering that same functionality versus, you're doing that as a consultant, how different or how similar are the pressures and the stresses of having to go through that?
Both have pressure, no doubt about it, but it's a different pressure, completely different. When you're a consultant, it's project focused. So you will be delivering it, quick win, get things done. You really didn't, no need to think beyond what's going to happen after a year. What will happen if this scenario hits? So you don't need to look into that. You should make sure that, this is the requirement and this is how we are going to deliver it, and we deliver, sign off, right? It's a project focused. Whereas when you're working in an enterprise as a full-time employee, you are going to own. In my case, it's a platform. It might be it's a data engineering, a solution that we are owning, a product, right? So when we are building it, we should make sure that this is something sustainable. We can build quickly. At the same time, we can manage and maintain. It is not too much of handholding. It's like we need to have a super smart subject matter expert to manage and maintain. We cannot be like that. It should be straightforward, but at the same time, it should scale, and then it should work beyond a time frame. So so pressure is there in both the places.
Yeah, I guess, when you're looking at delivery and you're delivering code on a project basis, right? I mean, there's certain expectations. You're delivering X. You do get access to stakeholders. You do get access to the requirements. You do get access to obviously the same environments. And you've held, positions both as a consultant and as somebody working for, directly for a company. When you are going through that delivery process, is there a difference of how you're viewed? And I guess I'm asking because as a consultant, we always hear, you have more flexibility of speaking your mind, or, you're kind of immune from the politics, all those different things. But when you compare the two, how do you kind of view that?
Yeah, wonderful question. So the empathy still the same. There is no change to your consultant versus the other. It's the same. You need to understand the problem. You need to go to the bottom so that you can provide a solution. No change to it. Whereas it's really the output versus outcomes. As a consultant, you're really going to give an output that's going to solve the problem. Since you understand the customer needs, you're going to solve the problem. But whereas when you are in an enterprise, you will be really looking for outcome. So how this is going to perform, and wanted to make sure that it's going to meet the business need as better or best, like how we implemented on day one. It should be the same. There might be some ongoing support, ongoing enhancements, but still how we can, as a holistically, you can think, it's not just that one output or one project. Holistically, you can think about the whole environment, and then you can make a decision there.
That's interesting. I think that's a good viewpoint. And the one thing that maybe we can also touch on here is when you are brought in from the outside, obviously your job is to deliver something very specific. Everyone still has to deal with budgets, but there is, a nuance of, you are being paid typically high bill rates, high project costs. Client doesn't necessarily want you to be there past what you need. When it comes to the actual code itself, right, and you're delivering the project and you're handing it off, now that you sit on the other side, are there things you look for when you get the deliverable to ensure, obviously things are to the right standard, it's complete, you have the documentation? What do you look for now that you're on the other side and, if you do work with consultants?
Absolutely. So first thing first, is there a strategic alignment? I'm not giving a requirement just for you to get things done. When you are delivering, I wanted to make sure that it's going to scale, it's not going to break, and it truly helps the business. So that's what I will be looking at. I treat consulting as an extended arm because that's a flexibility we have. We can onboard them. Yeah, definitely we are paying more, but when we need, they are there to all the points I mentioned. So I wanted to make sure that they're delivering in those aspects, and then giving the sense of ownership to them as well. It is not just a one-time activity you are taking and moving on. So I give that sense of ownership to them as well, the consultant, so that when they are delivering the product, obviously they are knowledgeable, they have seen, they have experienced this somewhere else as well, but this problem is unique here. So just make sure that you're applying all your best of the knowledge, best of the skills to solve my problem, so that you can get benefit as well as we will get the fruit of the benefit, and then we will move forward.
Absolutely. Something interesting to maybe even talk about here is, when you are working from project to project, you do get the benefit of seeing different environments, right? I did a lot of consulting when I was technical, and I did like going into different places, seeing different environments. On the flip side, I wasn't quite an expert in any particular domain. So, when you would go for an interview, they'd ask you, so you've worked for 4 different domains, what's your strength? My strength was actually learning about new domains. That was actually the strength. And it's kind of funny when you say that. When you kind of look at that, and maybe this is good advice if somebody is in consulting, and it could be anything, could be mobile development, DevOps, data, could really be applicable to anything. When you do go for an interview for a perm role, how do you overcome some of the stigma of, oh, you only like consulting roles, or, oh, you're not a domain expert? I mean, there's a lot of things that come up when people want to make that transition. Any advice there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. I had a struggle there too. So definitely I want to bring my perspective here. So the subject matter experts versus generalist, right? So I will put the consultant in the generalist category. It is nothing right or wrong, good or bad here, but generalists have an advantage. The advantage is you have seen the same problem in a different varieties and variations in different places, but you can definitely apply the knowledge you gain from one domain to the other domain. There are many solutions, the many product that we are implementing. It is not domain specific. Very few products. For example, if you are in a medical affairs or if you are in a very specific vertical that has that subject matter expert, only those situations or places where a consultant might not be able to get a full-time job. Whereas in the rest of all the other domains or all the other departments, definitely there is a need to get someone like with that generalist idea to get into the team. It will be definitely complement the existing deep vertical subject matter experts to complement the generalist. So that's a plus positive. So don't get afraid of being a consultant, converting into a full-time in an enterprise role.
Absolutely. I mean, you made the transition over to, working not at a consulting company, working at a company that obviously produces something. When you made the transition, were there any skills or any gaps that you had to kind of pay attention to address? Because I know obviously we've talked about consulting gives you a good background, but were there any gaps that you had to be aware of?
Yeah, before talking about gap, I want to tell that empathy, that quick, in the speed in which you're addressing the problem, that never goes away. Keep that. Definitely you should have that. The one challenge or one difference I was getting challenged immediately when I joined is previously consultants rarely owns the whole program as a whole, right? But whereas when it comes to the full-time role in enterprise, you have to start owning it. When you start owning it, you should always think before giving a solution very quickly. You should think through: is this reliable? Is this extensible? Is this maintainable? And then we cannot just keep throwing solution after solution. So if needed, yes, we need to build capabilities, but at the same time, it should be the purpose-built capabilities should have a meaning and should have a life. We cannot keep building things, new things, keep on moving on. So that because you have a budget, you have a constraints, you cannot just keep exploring. At the same time, you are owning it. So just make sure that you're building the right thing so that you don't need to you're not building a lot of tech tips. You are not reading the same thing again and again.
Absolutely. If you're looking at when you do get an opportunity to transition from being a consultant and you're obviously working for a company that, again, produces something, service, product, platform, whatever it is, I guess when you look at that and you come in, having that experience, that delivery mindset, you have that, the understanding of different types of pressures, obviously. Do you try to bring some of that into the organization? Do you try to bring some of that, different way of looking at how delivery is set up? And if so, what kind of changes do you make to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. There are a lot of good things in the consulting world that can be brought into the in product companies. For example, shifting gears, probably we might be thinking too deep on how to make it reliable, extensible, going in circles, but a flywheel approach, like, okay, do incremental change that will help you to do more, then make another incremental change and then get it better or even better state, right? So that is really will help consultants to transition quickly. That will play to their advantage. And also I already talked about project versus project, also output versus outcomes. So those mindsets, if you have it, it's not going to be a roller coaster. It will be a steady ladder.
Absolutely. I like the way you put that, because I feel like there is a component of bringing in that value to an organization. And I guess maybe the one thing that sometimes you miss as a consultant that and I don't think you can, it's hard to replicate it because you're just not there, right? And I think some of it is the growth, seeing like the product, the service, the widget, whatever it is, seeing it just develop and the iterations and having that experience of solving the same domain but different problems within it, right? I think that takes a different mindset than coming in, doing X and leaving, because obviously you are left with dealing with a good or bad solution, success or failure. It's not, if you get fired as a consultant, you go to the next project. If you're a full-time employee, you get fired. I mean, there isn't really an interview. You got to go start from scratch, and that's not necessarily something you want. But when it comes to being a part of something that's growing and seeing that and being a part of that, tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah. So one, this is a good point. Let us not approach this consultant versus the full-time employee in a product company as monetary based or a role title based. The reason I would say this is wherever you work, always there will be some output based on that. You will be compensated, or your project get extended, or you're getting into a new product, right? So that will be always there. But when you are delivering something, then you'll feel the value directly reaching the end consumer or your customers. When they appreciate it, then you will realize. So that's the reason I'm saying it's not, there is a purpose. You built the product for a purpose, and it is serving as intended, and it's helping people. It might be helping people to increase their operational excellence, or it might be helping them to deliver a best value to their customers or their consumers. It can be anything. So if you have that value embedded in the product that you delivered, you will feel that sense of you did something really well. So that, I like that feeling we should address from that perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually think that's a great way of looking at it. I guess, if somebody is looking to, leave the enterprise role and go into consulting, right? I think that doesn't happen as often because I feel there's a lot of unknowns. It's already hard enough going from a consultant to a direct hire perm role. If you're going to go the other way, I mean, you've been a perm employee, you want to go be consultant. Do you have any advice for people, or maybe reasons why somebody should explore that? Because I think it's not always on the radar. If you've been a perm employee for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you automatically just default to, hey, I'm going to go get another, similar role.
Yeah. So personally, I haven't done that. So I don't know how much you can rely on this, but still I have my perspective. I have seen people done that. There are a couple of reasons. One, probably they might have saturated of doing the same thing in the same role. They wanted to explore completely opposite of what the other way from consultant to coming to an enterprise, right? They want to go do things, then move on to the next one. That will happen only if you have that. This is completely opposite from generalist to going with a deep domain vertical expertise. So your consulting will be in that particular domain focused. It cannot be a director for software engineering, or it might not be some other generic role. It will be a specific consultant for a particular domain on a particular product. It will be so niche that only few people in the world can do that, right? But when you do that, you will be respected really well, because when you speak, people will really pay attention because you have already done it, or you know how to get things done, right? So I have seen people transition to that role, and I have a great respect for them. As I said, they want to have a purpose, and that's the reason they did it. So it's either way, both the sides. It has its challenges to transition, but I have seen people doing it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, I love the insights and advice. And if somebody's listening out there and they have a question that they want to follow up with you, what's a good way of doing that?
I'm active in LinkedIn. You can search in LinkedIn Udhay Durai. You will be landing on my profile for sure. Not many people with my first name and last name. You can definitely reach out to me. I also do volunteer in nonprofit organization. I'm also coaching high school students and college graduates. So even if you're in your career, mid-career, I am happy to learn from you. And then if there is something that I can contribute back, definitely I can help you there.
Awesome. Well, definitely appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show. That's it for this episode. Be back again, different guest, different topic. Until then, two things. One, I think Udhay did a great job of walking us through his transition from, working as a consultant to, well, now he's a data executive and he hires consultants from time to time. So leverages that experience, evaluates, the end product, and also, having that diverse background, being familiar with multiple domains, understanding the pressures of delivering in a different type of window. Obviously, both roles have a lot of pressure, but he did a great job of walking us through some of those similarities, differences, and things you could take away. So please share this episode with somebody else who might enjoy it. Also, subscribe, comment, let me know how the show's going for you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.